This is long overdue. I realize this bike's been out for quite a while. I personally finally got a chance to spend some time on one. This is the one I have been putting some miles on. It's been awesome. It's a really, really fun bike. The bike has changed my appreciation for road cycling and pavement. It's a really fast bike. When you get on the bike, you just want to go. I didn't know how this bike would climb because I do like to climb. That said, it's pretty flat around here. We have a river valley, so there are some hills, but you're like 3 minutes for the most part on a hill around here. Maybe there's some that's like 6 minutes, but you really got to go look for those. So a lot of our climbs are pretty short, minute, 2 minutes, if you can call those climbs. They're long hills. But anyway, this bike is a rocket ship. It's really fun to ride fast. It's wild. You get it out on a flat with a tailwind and you feel like Superman. You really actually just feel like Superman on this thing anytime you're on it. It's pretty cool. I'll go through the bike really quick. This is a stock build, pretty much out of the box. I haven't even taken any spacers out of it. These are the stock wheels. Corsa Pros. I really like the Corsa Pros. I think on this bike, the tan sidewalls, they look really good too. I like them. Reserve 52s on them and Reserve 63 on the back. So 52 front, 63 dish on the back. These are 25 millimeter internal rim width on the wheels. These are 28s. Current ETRTO now says you should run a 29 on them. Quite frankly, I don't know. These might be the last 28s to run. Maybe we'll go to 30s. That seems to be the trend. I will say we've got some pretty good pavement around here, but man, there is still some stuff that is rough. And I'm not feeling bad about getting off of 25 millimeter tires. We pretty much just can't sell a 25 millimeter tubeless tire anymore in the shop. It's just not something we're going to really stock much of anymore. People that are running 25s is because they can't fit 28s. And a lot of those aren't running tubeless tires. So we're kind of at a point where 28 millimeter tubeless tires is the narrowest we're going. I did swap the seat out. Actually, the stock seat's not bad, but I do like the ergon seat. I've kind of moved that around different bikes I've ridden over the years. It works well for me. And I actually think on this bike, it worked a little bit better. The rail clamps are kind of wide on the seat post. If you can see that there. The ergon post has a little longer rails on it. So it gave me a little bit more freedom in where I wanted the seat at versus the stock seat. This is an Ultegra Di2 build. It's 12 speed. It's got the 11 to 30 tooth cassette on it. Your Ultegra derailleur. Look, pedals on it. Those are the Keo 2 Maxes. I like them. I could ride the Shimano ones. I've kind of just been on look because I had a set of Garmin Vector pedals that were looks. I'm not that picky of a rider. I can ride whatever. Fortunately, the whatever for me tends to be some pretty cool stuff sometimes because we've got a bike shop that we stock some pretty cool stuff in. Anyway, I do like these pedals. We stock them in our shop. We sell a lot of Ultegra ones too. Let's talk sizing really quick. This is a 54. I'm 5'10", maybe just a smidge shy. I'm using most of the seat post on this 54 centimeter bike. The 350 millimeter seat post versus the 400. I could go up a little bit. Well, I can't go up a little bit higher on it, but you could go a little higher on this post before you hit the minimum post insertion. I have a pretty good drop from post to the bars already. I'm long inseamed, short torso, long arms. When I get my seat post set on a bike, I kind of tend to need a little more stack anyway. Not to mention, I'm not old, but I'm not young either. I'm 46. The last couple of years, I've started to lose a little bit of my flexibility, and that's probably just a personal problem I need to work on. The other thing about that is I'm going to sell this bike. So I tend to never cut any steer tubes down. There's no steer tube to cut down, actually, the way this is assembled. However, if I were to slide this down, I would need to cut the brake line shorter, and then when the next person comes in, they're going to buy this bike. If they wanted it back up, I got to run new brake lines on it, and that's kind of a pain. So for me, this works, and it's actually a pretty aggressive fit for me on this bike. Why am I on the 54 versus the 56? I've ridden a lot of 56 centimeter frames. I could ride the 56 if I wanted to as well. I could make it fit. I could make it work. It's a little long. And this past year or two, I've been experimenting with some different bike fits. When you go to the smaller frame, you give up your head stack. But I've got long arms, so when I do get bent over, even though my seat height is high because of my inseam, when I'm leaned over, my arms can drop down to make that reach down to the bars as well, even if I have an excessive drop. Typically on a 56 centimeter frame, this one gets expensive to do that, so I didn't do it on this. I'm gonna ride these over they come. But on a traditional 56 centimeter frame, I'm usually taking the 100mm stem out of it and putting a 90 on it, running my seat a little forward on the rails. So I'm kind of getting myself a little forward over the pedals, and then I'm also giving up some steering stability on the bike. This one, if I wanted, I might be able to go a little bit longer, but since it's a pretty excessive drop, I actually still have, well, this is a 15mm offset, so I've got this seat post, probably, it's a little forward of the 15mm offset, but it's definitely not sitting at a 0 offset. It's a little forward of that, so it's rear offset just a smidge. Anyway, the fit works out pretty good for me on this. I've been dealing with kind of some neck issues, and not from bikes actually. It's been working out on this bike. I said this in another video. I think if you get, obviously an endurance bike kind of has more stack in it and they ride nice. I was talking about that in the ADHX 45 video that we put some road tires on, how that bike was a good all-road, great endurance bike, but definitely not like a sporty road bike like something like this. But I think if you get fit properly on a bike like this and you get yourself set up, then you can make this bike comfortable and go rip out 80, 90, 100-mile rides and have a good, comfortable ride on it. I'm comfortable on this bike. Anyway, so these reviews, my reviews are just coming from my general experience riding the bike, whether I like riding it or not, and what I think about it. This S5, it's freaking phenomenal. I love riding this bike. It's an incredible bike. If you can swing a bike like this and you can afford one in your quiver of bikes, this thing's amazing. I know it's been out for a really long time, but it's awesome. And any future ones, whatever they're going to improve on this, like heck yeah. But if you've got this generation of it and you find one of these are amazing. That's just my general experience. I love riding the bike. The style of it is pretty interesting, right? Like we wonder like how much of this stuff is gimmicks or that type of thing, the airflow, but this thing is so aero. Look at how narrow that bike is. I mean, it's wild. Look how narrow that is. It looks like a piece of paper thin. Anyway, I love riding the bike. It's a phenomenal bike to ride. It's super fast. I feel like it still accelerates well for being an aero bike. I think it climbs pretty well too. And some of the climbing, maybe because our hills around here are kind of short, so you can get a run into them. It's kind of fun. So not kind of fun. It's fantastic. I love riding this bike. Since getting on this bike, I've done a lot more road riding because it's just been a lot more fun. We've also been riding Bianchi Ultra. I'll have a review on that as well sometime soon. Some pretty good stuff to compare against. This bike, the Ultra as well, both have gotten me on pavement a lot more lately. And I've actually been riding more pavement than I have gravel probably the last 6 months because these bikes have been so much fun. So anyway, any questions about it? Let us know. I know that's not a big tacky review, that type of thing, but I'm just giving you what my experience is riding the bike, what I enjoy about it, that type of thing. Use my fit, the 510 for some fitting, that type of thing, and take it from there. Let me know if you got any questions. Thanks.